give it up for Rome.
Right on in.
Great to see all your sweet faces here. I'm Campbell, and I just wanted to ask, how many people had some emotional things come up with that video? Yeah, so some people were laughing for sure, and then there was some times where you kind of felt a little bit bad, right? So this video was actually made by, it was a spoof of Boston Dynamics, and Boston Dynamics is an amazing robotics company that does these videos that blow your minds. So this is a group called Bosstown Dynamics, I guess. And so what they did, that wasn't real, like they did it with animation, this guy. And so what was interesting about that was it brought up these emotions in us, you know, and we don't know exactly what's gonna happen as robotics become more prolific in our lives. But at the very least, it's just fascinating to see that something that, you know, is as alive as, you know, you wanna think it is or not, it can still elicit these emotions. So we're gonna get into a little bit of some of that tonight. But first, what I thought it'd be fun to do to welcome you guys here is to, first of all, thank you all for coming and this amazing team that's been putting this event together for some time. We've got a bunch of fun stuff in store for you guys tonight. And so I'd like to just show you, first of all, this is a real video of Boston Dynamics and what their robots are capable. I mean, they still mess with them. And this is a robot called Spot. And Spot is, after about 2 decades in development, Boston Dynamics is now kind of getting ready to release its robots into the wild. Spot is actually just the main body part, but then it can have different attachments. In this case, it has this arm and a handle, but it can have things like cameras and sensors and any other type of attachments that then can be programmed for specific needs. So right now, this is being deployed in construction zones, industrial properties. It's being great. It's great at security. It's great at things that robots haven't been able to do so much in the past, like going up and down stairs, going over unstable terrain. And so it's just the beginning. You know, obviously Amazon's interested in having this be part of their warehouses and things like that. So who knows? Now they're talking about our robots going to be using the bike lane to deliver things. So it's going to be a crazy future that we're coming up to. And so I thought just to set the stage before we get into the talks, I wanted to give the last couple of months just a few things that came across like my feed. Something from, and this is just an array. There's so much happening right now in the form of robotics, and we're going to explore a bunch of this tonight. But just to give you a taste of a few of the things that were on my mind when we started curating this event. From the next web, some of the dark, weird stuff of humanity is coming to the surface through our technology. It's happened in artificial intelligence, that it shows that artificial intelligence can exhibit some of the same biases that the human creators possess. And no doubt, when what we create, it is infused with part of us. And so it's really fascinating to see that it also can even translate to robotics. They did some tests that people even have different types of reactions, even the white and black plastic robots, which is super fascinating and unexpected, but just goes to show that how some of our technology can uncover some of our shadowy parts of our own collective consciousness and psyche, and what we still have to work on. From the New Scientist, a robotic lens that can be controlled by looking around and blinking. It can be even powered potentially by the electrical current within your own eyeball. Blink a couple of times to zoom in, look around, and it can pan. It can give you wider perspective, range of vision. From IE Spectrum, this was really fascinating. This robot was a two-step process where the researchers could pick up any sticks that they found, scan them in, and then the robot in the software worked out how to walk with them. So I don't have the video here, but if you're interested, it's a really strange thing. Any sticks that they give it, it ends up figuring out how to crawl and move with these new arms, and it's just joints, which is really fascinating. Like this old technology and new together is really fascinating. And now it's some really awesome stuff here from Good Magazine. This is so cool. This is was in Myanmar. They did a program for drones to shoot tree seeds, like tree bombs, into deforested areas. And they had 10 drones who were able to plant 400,000 trees in a day through tree missiles. Isn't that cool? Yeah, imagine that. And from Scientific American, a robot hand helps amputees feel again. Now this one was using electrical impulses connected to the nerve endings that they mapped out, and then they were able to create feedback to the robotic hand such that this hand was able, I don't know if this is a typical test, maybe Heather can tell us more about it, but it was able to pick up a raw egg without cracking it, so just so delicately pick it up. And so that, for somebody who hasn't had an arm, must be an amazing thing. So that was an example of using the nerves right in the stump of his amputated arm, wherever it was amputated. But there's obviously some other things happening too. So who saw the Neuralink announcement? Okay, let me show you a little something.
Neuralink has developed a brain-machine interface, or BMI for short, that's light years more advanced than anything seen before. It's a fully implantable neural interface, custom built to receive and process the electrical action potentials happening in the interconnected neurons that make up the brain. Now that's a mouthful, so to put it simply, it translates thoughts into computer code. Neuralink picked the brain's motor cortex as its proving ground. This is the area involved in the planning, control, and execution of voluntary movements. If all goes as planned, the technology will give people with paralysis the ability to control things like computers and prosthetics with mind power. And according to the Neuralink team, that's just the beginning. Because the components involved with Neuralink's BMI are so small, we're talking on the level of microns, it would be all but impossible for a neurosurgeon to implant the device unassisted. That being the case, they engineered a robot surgeon capable of implanting the device while navigating around the tiny blood vessels in the brain tissue. This eliminates most bleeding. That's a good thing because Neuralink aims to make the procedure as simple as LASIK.
Yeah, so this is Elon Musk's new company. It's pretty wild, huh? So that brings us back. So we've seen some things. We've seen some shadowy stuff that is emerging, even just in showing us who we are through robotics. We're seeing some really hopeful stuff, things that are solving immediate problems, some surprising things, some things that maybe even scare us a little bit. What was interesting about that is not only the ability to give someone the use of, or someone the ability to control robotics through their thoughts, but even the device that had to do it had to be so much better than a typical surgeon, had to be a robot. So there's such a huge emerging field right here. We're going to explore a lot tonight, but one of the things that I feel like we're going to keep coming back to, and we really want to have you keep in mind both tonight and going forward, is what story do we want to tell? There's so much dystopian fiction out there. There's so much dystopian vision of what the future might look like. And the more we pay attention to that, the more that might happen. But there's so much potential for awesomeness through these things too. And so that's something to really keep in mind and to inspire each other. Thank you.